Hello, church. Coming to you from our beautiful memorial garden, the little park outside the downstairs parking lot. If you've never walked through it, I would encourage you to do that sometime during this time of sequester. I hope you will be going outside and experiencing nature. I hope you will reach out by telephone or video conference to people that you know. Tell them how much you love them. And I hope that you will find solace in some things that we're doing at your church to bring us together, even though we physically need to be separate. Part of our separation from one another, our bishop even told us this, is that that's how we love our neighbors, to separate from them, to not spread the virus, to help get it contained and hopefully to mitigate it so that this time period can be shorter. That's what we're all hoping for, because the uncertainty of the future. Yesterday, it changes daily. Yesterday, schools are closed till April 15th, as per Governor Santis' decree. We did a sermon series, and the question was asked, we do something else. Let's talk from different scriptures that speak to what we're going through as a people. And I think that the task of the theologian is to take the scripture that is prescribed, for example, in the lectionary text, and to understand it through the lens of the reality that one is living in the time and place. And that's how we believe scripture is inspired. So no robe. These aren't sunglasses. These are transitions. I'm trying to see. But regular clothes, and there might be some construction noise because we're still having some things done at the church. But here now, Mark, Gospel of Mark, the centurion, tasked with the crucifixion. He's there at the cross, and Jesus gives up his spirit in Mark 15. And when the centurion witnessed Jesus' death, he responded thusly, "Truly this man was God's son." This is, if you want to read the full scripture, it's Mark 15:33 through 39. In college, took New Testament class. I was a religion major, undergrad, and my professor, Maddie Elizabeth Hart, asked us to find the human that identified Jesus for who he truly was, that identified Jesus' divinity in the Gospel of Mark. It was almost like a trick question. We didn't know, and we took it to task for a week and found out that it was this centurion. Not a disciple, not his mother, not another Jew, not one of the higher ups or one of the converted Pharisees like Nicodemus. No, it was a centurion at the crucifixion. Centurion who, as in the words of Ellsworth Callis, presented us with a word of testimony. He said out loud, "Truly this man was God's son." A word of testimony spoken out of authentic faith. This is the only place in Mark's gospel. The demons recognize Jesus as the Son of God, but not the humans. The centurion's task was tedious at best, grotesque at worst. And through that work, he received revelation. He understood, witnessing Jesus' death, who Jesus really was. What a gift. What a thing to receive. Forever changed as he went forward in his life. And the greatest thing I can learn from this scripture in this time that we're living in is that we are in uncertainty. Many of us are grieving things that we're losing. The way we've lived our lives up until this point. And we're giving up a lot voluntarily to love our neighbors, to socially distance ourselves, to isolate, and to sequester our activities. So there is grief over that. There's grief over the loss of the way life used to be. There's also loneliness. I don't experience it myself. I have my family. My daughter's not in school right now. My husband is going to work. There's still some construction going on, but he's there. We're being intentional about being together. And I know that there's loneliness out there for people who live alone, and for those who are in unblessed relationships, difficult relationships, and being sequestered to the same abode. So there's a lot of that tedious at best, grotesque at worst work. So how is there a space for a word of testimony? How is there a witness of something profound in the midst of something horrible? I guess that centurion found it. He found it in the grace of Jesus' words from the cross when he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." And he said, "It is finished." And he gave up his spirit. And the next line is, "Truly this man was the Son of God." A word spoken to the cross. How can we speak a word of testimony in times such as this? I think we can learn from that centurion. It was pretty quick what he witnessed and how he responded with authentic faith. How do we speak a word of testimony in social isolation? We have to use our technology. Some of us think of our technology as a scourge on our society, social media and the difficulties in it and all those things. But intimate social media right now with your friend groups and your family groups, using FaceTime. There's an app called House Party that the kids are using. Anybody with any type of smartphone can use that, or iPad or tablet. There's also GoToMeeting and Zoom, and we've been using that for meetings and different things we've been involved with. And I tell you, I know we have to get some business done when we have those, but it's so good to see other people's faces and hear their voices. It's so important. If we can't greet one another in person with a hug or a warm handshake, at least we can be together, face, visually and audio, and hearing one another. So I would encourage you, if you have learned something through this whole ordeal, to speak a word of testimony in a way that you can, to look for the places amid the grief, amid the isolation, amid the seemingly joylessness, uncertainty and concern and worry, where you could find what God has done. You can see revelation like the centurion did, and you can share it with someone else. It could be just a small kindness. Anything we can do for one another. Until we meet again, may God bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.